Hey folks, welcome to another edition of Play Branson, where you get to know Branson's entertainers better. My name's Chris Myer. I'm going to be your host for today. And on the show, I have Jay McFerron, and he is the director and writer of the Whodunit Murder Mystery Show out at Shepherd of the Hills. He's written some other shows, been involved in shows, and so we're going to talk to him about his experience here in Branson here in just a moment. So if you've been watching the show, you know that I've been telling people that Branson is open. And so maybe you haven't seen this show before and you think everything's locked down. Well, I'm here to tell you Branson is open. Shows are open, restaurants are open. Of course, the great outdoors are open. Everything is open. And if you are thinking about where should you go on your summer vacation, I think you would be in awe of everything there is to do here in Branson, Missouri. So we have world-class family entertainment. We have tons of attractions, shopping, the lakes, golf. There is something here for everyone. And so bring your family, come have a great time in Branson, Missouri. And it's also very affordable compared to a lot of other destinations. In fact, the other day I was researching hotel rooms in the middle of summer in Phoenix, and I could not believe how expensive they were compared to Branson. And so Branson's a great value, and we want you to come. So we'll be back in just a minute to learn more about Jay McFerron. So stay tuned. Hey folks, welcome back to Play Branson, and today I am here with Jay McFerron.
Hi.
And I tell you what, folks, you're in for a treasure because this guy has a lot of history and he knows a lot of stuff. And Jay, it's very good to have you here on the show.
Thank you, Chris. It's great to be here.
And I mean, and you and I were just talking off set here a moment ago, and you have a lot of information. So I want you to take people way back. And because you've been in this town for a long time, you've done a lot of stuff, you know a lot of stuff, and so I'm just going to let you go.
Well, I appreciate that. I first came here in 1965 with my mom and my dad, my sister, and aunt and uncle, and my cousin, and we stayed over on on DD Highway. And on a rainy day, someone said, "Why don't you go visit Silver Dollar City?" So as a child of 8 years old, I visited Silver Dollar City for the first time, fell in love with it. And as I grew older, I thought, boy, I'd really like to work there someday. I was in a speech class at the Missouri State with an old friend of mine, and he said, hey, it was in the springtime. He said, they're having interviews at Silver Dollar City. You should go down there and see them. So I did, and I got hired. This would have been in the spring of '78.
Wow.
And I was hired to be a street character, and so I did that for a number of years, and then that led into entertainment management, and that led into the creative process, where I was involved with some of the most creative and wonderful people I've ever known, some of which I'm still working with to this very day. Folks like Dan Embry and Janet Henleben and Wayne Milnes, and folks that were, you know, some of the best comics around and still are.
Wow.
Anyway, so I got involved with Silver Dollar City, worked for them for many years, and then got involved with, as I said, the creative process. We did a show at Silver Dollar City in the early '90s called Branson USA, which was a collaboration between Empire Broadcasting, which is KTTS at the time, Silver Dollar City, and Jim Stafford. And that was with all the greats, Waylon and Willie and all of them. There was Merle Haggard. It was a real treat to meet these guys and work with them. So in that process, my next move was Jim Stafford invited me to come on board and work with him for a couple years, and I did. And that was exciting and fun, and met a lot of wonderful people I'd loved all my life, people like Sid Caesar and Imogene Coca. I had a chance to work with them and meet them. The Smothers Brothers, I've sat in my sister's room for years listening to the LPs when I was a kid of the Smothers Brothers, and here I am working with them. So it was quite an experience. And then during all these years too, I was also very fortunate to be part of the Corn Crib Theater, which was located at a place called the Wilderness Settlement, which is now coincidentally located right next to the property right next door to where Jim Stafford's theater.
That's right. That's right.
That was an outdoor theater in a little craft village. It was run by Lloyd and Ruth Heller, better known as Shad and Molly. Shad and Molly came into this country in 1960, 1959, got involved with community theater, and the community theater at that time was the Shepherd of the Hills, which was being produced on the riverfront downtown Branson. Shad won the part of the shepherd, and Molly got involved as Aunt Molly. That's where her nickname came from. They were Shad and Molly. And so Shad was the original shepherd at the present location where Shepherd of the Hills is now. So anyway, I worked for them for a number of years, and we did a show called The Toby Show, which was basically referred to as poor man's vaudeville back in the days. It was a traveling repertory company that dated back to the American Revolution, and they were all over America. But they had a central character named Toby, and in the South he might be a cowboy, or in the North a lumberjack, or here he's a hillbilly, that type of thing. So anyway, I did that show for a number of years. I was Toby. I did several different. I parked cars. I poured cokes. It was it's Branson show business.
You did a little bit of everything.
I did everything.
Yeah.
And so before Shad passed on, he bequeathed the rights to do the show to myself, and so I sat on it for years and years. I got a call one day from Jeff Johnson, co-owner and general manager at Shepherd of the Hills. And he said, I understand you have the Toby Show. And I said, yes, I do. And he said, would you be interested in talking to me about it? I said, sure. So I did, and that's what really started our association, was the Toby Show. We did and it was a real honor too, because I took the Toby Show back to Shepherd of the Hills for its 60th anniversary, and so it was very gratifying to me to take Shad's show back to where Lloyd was the shepherd. Lloyd Heller and Shad are the same person. So
there's a lot of history there.
A lot of history, and a lot of coincidental, just cosmic karma, if you will, that it all worked out that way. And the guy that I saw on stage as Toby the very first time, Dan Embry, was in my show, and he played the role of Zenas, and his wife Dana played the role of Miss Lillian, and we had a full cast of really very, very talented people, and it was a real treat to bring that show back and do it.
So what was the period of time between the original Toby Show stopped and then the show that was a couple of years ago started back up? How long? What was the expanse of time?
The cast that I was in left en masse. We moved on in '86, '87, somewhere in there.
Wow.
I think the show actually in a different form went on until about '89. But the show that I knew and the show that I own was our last year was in '87, I believe. We got a beautiful video of it that's Paul and Martha Katona, some friends of mine from Springfield, came in and produced that video. But anyway,
wow, that's but it's almost like a 30-year hiatus, almost.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Wow.
Right. And so exactly, and so it took a little doing to get it back up and going, but that's what brought me to Shepherd of the Hills. I was in the nighttime drama. There's another thing. Back when I was a young man, I was in the drama back in early 80s.
And I don't think people realize how long Shepherd of the Hills has been going on, but it's really one of the longest outdoor running.
61 years, and it's why we're all here. It's because of Harold Bell Wright coming into this country and not being able to cross the river because it was out of its banks, and he was sent out to some hilltop because the folks were friendly out there and they might take him in, and they did. And he went out there and he stayed with them for the next 10, 15 years and wrote this masterpiece that we know as Shepherd of the Hills.
Yeah.
And that's why we're all here.
Yeah. There's a lot of history there. Folks, we'll be back in just a second with more So stay tuned.
As a Branson original, the Shepherd of the Hills outdoor drama is a full production show, bringing to life the classic American novel by Harold Bell Wright. With a cast of more than 90 actors, actresses, and live animal performers, you'll experience the history of the Ozarks, family bonds, the hardships of the land, blossoming love, and battles for power. And you can witness the age-old struggle between good and evil, played out live under the starry skies. Branson's original show, running since 1960.
Hey folks, welcome back to the show. We are here today with Jay McFerron, who's out with Shepherd of the Hills, and so been talking great history. And Jay, you did this, you revitalized the Toby Show, and now you've brought another new show to Shepherd of the Hills. So talk a little bit about that transition.
Sure. My involvement began with the Toby Show. I brought it, and Jeff Johnson is the producer. He's the man with the money and the, that's the.
And he's been on the show, so if you want to see who Jeff is, go look at a past
great
episode.
Guy. He's a wonderful human being, really is. So anyway. And once we started talking about the Toby Show, he took me to the theater one day in March a couple years ago, and we walked through it. And he's very forward thinking. He and Steve Faria both are great forward thinking men, and they've revived that property. But anyway, he had all these ideas that he wanted to do, and he kept saying, "I'd like to do this, I'd like to do that." He said, "I want to do a murder mystery." And it just kind of went right by me, and I thought, okay, well, good luck with that. Because, I just didn't see it. And I was never been more wrong in my life, because he kept bugging me and putting the bug in my ear, saying, "How's the script coming?" So it's like, well, I don't have a script. What are you talking about? So finally we sat down. I sat down at his strong urging me to do this. I did. We wrote a show, and then we put it up a year ago in March, and by golly, the man knows what he's talking about. It was a huge success, and we've just been so very, very blessed, and we're having the best time with it.
And it's called Who Done It.
It's called the Who Done It Hoedown.
Okay.
And it's basically the hoedown idea came from the fact that the inside of the Playhouse Theater looks to me like a barn. It's rough wood sawn, on the walls, and it's got a pitched roof like a barn. It just looks like that to me. So when I was trying to come up with ideas for a show, I thought, well, maybe if we did a whodunit hootenanny or a whodunit, or a homicide, whodunit homicide. I couldn't. So Jeff, we were in a meeting, and Jeff said, "How about hoedown?" It's like, yeah, how about that? So it's the whodunit hoedown. And the premise is that Uncle Penn has hired the best fiddler in the world to play for his wife Aunt Belle's birthday party, and it's a surprise party. And it's a huge surprise. So, and then the fiddler's name is Squeaky Bowman, and on his way to play the gig, Squeaky meets an untimely demise, and so that's where it starts. It's pure comedy, and there's if you're coming to see. If you're trying to come to with scratch your head and really try to figure out who done it, I don't say it's a farce, but it's a hillbilly take on a murder mystery, and people really love it. It's a lot of fun.
So it sounds like it's very original and unique, and there's.
Well, thank you. It is.
I don't know of anything that would be similar to it in Branson.
Well, I appreciate that. That's not really. I've done a little homework since I've written the thing and directed it. I've looked around, and I've never seen anything quite like it. Yeah. But it's the people on stage that really make it move, that really make it happen. Dan and Dana Embry are veteran performers here in Branson, and Dan I've known all my life.
Now he was in the Toby show.
Yes, he was.
That you just resurrected.
Right.
He's crazy.
He's crazy. Yeah. Absolutely nuts, and just wonderful. He's not afraid to do anything. He has no inhibitions. He has the best. We came from the same. We're cut out of the same cloth. We're television kids from the '60s. We watched Dick Van Van Dyke and Red Skelton and all the great ones. We know that kind of comedy, and that's what we do. And so people like that. Mike Tilden, another great comic, Vicky Gonzalez, and James Martin, and it's just a really solid cast.
So it's not just a play, but you have musicians in this playing instruments?
No, we have some music. There's the hoedown part is the guy that gets that he's coming to be the hoedown, and he gets whacked on the way.
He's not there to play.
No, he gets whacked on the way, and we try to decide who did it. So out of this, Jeff is very forward-thinking and always thinking about titles. And he's right, because the titles that will draw attention and that we can put on a rack card and people will go, hey. And he came up with a title for a show called Funny Farm, which we thought was
this is another show.
This is the brand new one.
Okay,
brand new one, right out of the box. It's been up for a couple weeks now, and it's doing very well. Strong numbers, selling out some performances, but for the most part, really, really strong. And I expect it to be as successful as the Whodunit Hoedown. People are learning that if you want to see original Branson style comedy, and if you want to see basically ensemble skit type comedy, Shepherd of the Hills is the place to be, because everything we do is original. It's the real deal.
You can't get it anywhere else in the world.
No, you can't. Not what we're doing.
Yeah,
you can't, because and the thing about the Funny Farm is a scenario of two feuding hillbilly families who have scheduled their family reunion in the same building at the same time on the same day, and mayhem and comedy ensues from there. And they settle the feud by competing in wacky hillbilly feats of skill. And we draft people out of the audience, lots of audience participation. Great for kids. They love it. And the meal, our shows are all dinner shows. And our executive chef, Matt Monroe, is a military man, and he is second to none, folks. The food is fantastic. And it's a different meal for each show.
And what is the exact name of this show?
It's the Funny Farm.
The Funny Farm.
The Funny Farm. Funny Farm is on Wednesday, Friday at 5 o'clock, Saturday, noon and 5, and Sunday at noon. The Whodunit Hoedown is Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I believe we're going to add another show on Monday. It's still up in the air, but I think we're going to have two shows on Monday, 5 and 7:30, 7:30 on Wednesday and Friday. But the demand for these seats is mind-boggling, friends. It is. So if you want to see the shows, give us a call. You
get booked. And so, and then there, even besides those two shows, there are other shows there. Of course, you have the original Shepherd of the Hills outdoor drama,
right?
And then Jim Barber is there.
Yes, that's right.
And then you're doing Christmas show. There's a Christmas show. I mean, you guys got a lot going on.
We do. As I said, Jeff and Steve are producers extraordinaire, friends. They have really put their nose to the grindstone and have worked very, very hard to figure out this market and to figure out the demographic and to put things in their theaters that people love. And they've done a great job, and they're succeeding.
But you're the guy that kind of then puts it all together.
Yeah, I am.
and I think it's, a lot of times people don't think about someone's got to do all this. And so, folks, if you go see any of these shows, this is the guy that eventually made it all happen. And I just know you have and I feel like we've just skimmed some of the surface in the history that you have.
Well, I'd be happy to come back
and
anytime.
So we will have to have you back another day. I love history, folks. History, you learn from it. And
Branson is it's a multi-layered place. You just, it's a fascinating place. And the thing about it for me, it's a job. It was a nice place to live and raise a family, but you don't really understand what it is until you really step back and look at it and go, oh my gosh. You start with Shepherd of the Hills and go all through the lakes, and you do the Ballknobbers and the Presleys and the Plummer family and all those people that really shaped Branson as it is now, with Shepherd of the Hills anchoring all of it, and then of course Jack and Pete bringing the Hersham family.
And the thing that you mentioned even today that I did not realize is you talked about Shepherd of the Hills being downtown on the lakefront. I don't think I ever knew that.
Well, that's where Shad was a traveling salesman, sold tools, and he came through town and went down to see it and said, "Hey, I like this," and talked to the people and got a role in it, and here we are.
There we go.
Yeah.
Folks, thanks for watching. We'll be back in just a moment to wrap the show up, so hang tight.
There are so many things to do in Branson. You need help planning and booking all your fun. You need iBranson.com. You can find everything Branson has to offer from your computer, tablet, or cell phone. You can even buy tickets online or talk to one of their friendly Branson travel specialists. There's no sales pitches, no delivery fees, no service fees, and no waiting. It's fast and easy. Find your fun at iBranson.com. Do it all online or call 877-ENTERTAIN. That's 877-368-3782. iBranson.com.
Hey folks, welcome back to Play Branson. And I tell you what, I just love when we get to talk to someone that has so much history and has been in the entertainment business for so many years. And Jay has been actively involved in entertaining, but he's also been very involved in actually producing shows and writing them and bringing them together. And so he's just one of these creative minds that we don't often get to see, out there on the stage all the time. And so it was great having him on the show. It was great hearing some of the history of some of the entertainment here in Branson from years past. Next week, on next week's show, I have Dan Britton with Pierce Arrow. And so that'll be his first time on the show. So we're looking forward to having Dan on the show. And folks, if you're thinking about coming to Branson, come on, it's open. We're ready to have you here. And if you need help with your vacation planning, you can talk to the folks at ibranson.com, or you can call them at 877-ENTERTAIN. They're happy to talk to you, or you can just book it all online. They've got show tickets, attraction tickets, lodging, and you normally can find dining there as well. And we'd love to see you in Branson. Thanks for watching. And here's the deal. If you want to see a certain entertainer on the show, go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/PlayBranson. Send us a message, and we will do our absolute best to try and get them on a future episode. So I want to do a shout out to the guy that did that the other day. He said, "Hey, here's a great person I'd love to see," and so we're going to work to make that happen. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your comments and feedback, and we'll see you next week on Play Branson.